Hello everyone, welcome back to another Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer match. I'm going to be bringing the Lizards, specifically a Skink army for this matchup. I'm facing off against the Beastmen, the Wood Elves, and the forces of the Greenskins. Which actually, this Greenskin army is exactly the same, I believe, as the one that we had in the last match. Because I played a few matches against these people, and this person, I think, took the same exact army as they did in the previous one. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, we'll get to that here in a moment. So for my Skink army, my Skink infantry here, we have 4 Skink cohorts that I have upgraded because they are very cheap. But even upgraded, their stats are not super amazing. But the thing is, Skinks are very fast. So they can catch up to, I believe, almost any other foot-based units, especially like squishy archers and things like that. So Skinks do definitely have a role in an army. I don't know about a Skink all army, but still, there they are. We got 4 of those Skink cohorts, and then behind those we have 4 of these Skink cohorts with javelins, which share the exact same stats with the Skink cohorts, but these also have javelins that are poison tipped and decent ammunition. They can do a lot of good focus damage before they get into melee, and again, they double up as just another unit of Skink cohorts. But they're special because they got little javelins to throw. And I really like javelin units, so I brought 4 of them for this army to be my, just kind of my ranged sniper force, because Skinks don't have archers. But they do have blow darts, which I did also bring some more Skinks over here in a Vanguard deployment. We have 3 chameleon Skinks that I thought I was going to be using to harass the Beastman player. But as you can see here, the Beastman player took an unconventional army. I was expecting them to be all right here and to have a front line of like gore herds, ungores, and I was just going to harass them with these 3 chameleon Skink units, which are like the elite Skinks, I guess, if you want to call them that. They have decent range damage. They can do okay in melee, but you don't really want them to be in there. But they are also really fast, just like other Skinks, so they are a pretty good skirmishing unit. They get in, they shoot their blow darts, and they get out, and they also have Stalk and Vanguard deploying fire while moving in a 360 direction or degrees around them. And then above them, we have 2 of the Pterodon Riders with the Fire Leech Bolas. Again, this is a good unit to have against an army that is low armor, like the Beastmen. Except if the Beastmen take a whole bunch of ranged Centaurs, which I obviously was not expecting. But this was my Vanguard force that was going to harass the Beastman force when the battle started, and again, that's not going to turn out exactly the way I wanted it to. Back here, the rest of my units are going to be dinos. Now, technically, it is still a Skink army minus the Lord, because there is no Skink Lord, because all of these dinos that I decided to take do have Skink Riders, so it's still, I consider a Skink unit. So we have 2 Ancient Stegodons. This is a close range, I don't want to say artillery piece, but I guess they call it artillery in the game. So a close range artillery piece, because it only has a range of 115, which is lower than a lot of like even archers and gunners. But their missile damage is kind of insane. These 2 Skinks are sitting up here, and they shoot multiple darts pretty frequently out of these, I don't know, dart guns. It looks kind of cool. It's kind of like a machine gun when they shoot them out, and it does just massive amounts of poison damage. And on top of that, it's an Ancient Stegodon itself, so it's very highly armored, good leadership, massive damage versus infantry units, especially those that are armored, and it's a really good unit. Very expensive unit, but you can afford to take a couple expensive units when you're running a Skink army, because Skinks aren't that expensive. At least the infantry version. So yeah, I had 2 of those, one right there, one right here, and then also got a Bastillodon with the Revivification Crystal, because again, it does have Skink Riders. That's why I do not have a Feral Bastillodon, which is super cheap and really good for the price, but it doesn't have any Skink Riders. At least I don't think it does. So I did not opt to bring that, but we do have some healing with the Revivification Crystal. And then back here we have the Lord Krokgar. So a problem with doing a Skink army, even when you consider dinos with Skinks on them as a Skink army, the thing is, even that means that you're not going to have any anti-large bonus in your army. None of the Skink units have that feature, even when riding these dinosaurs, because they're all anti-infantry instead. So I opted for my Lord to take Krokgar on top of the Carnosaur, so we can have at least 1 unit that is focused on an anti-large and just a heavy bruiser unit. Krokgar is just really, I don't know, really good. I like Krokgar. You're going to see Krokgar a lot. You probably have seen Krokgar a lot. I opted to take the special Hand of the Gods. This is a magic missile spell that is basically like a shotgun, and it does really good damage versus single target, so it makes him even that much better as a duelist, because he can just shotgun blast his opponent in the face, because he's going to be up close and personal, and to get hits with all of the missiles that this shoots out, you want to be up close and personal. So yeah, Krokgar is really good. So I brought him. Then in the air, we have more leadership. I took the double Skink Chiefs on top of the Pterodon Riders, and I gave them the Drum of Zahutek. So the Drum of Zahotech is not active if engaged in melee, which is why I like to take these chiefs on top of pterodons. For a couple reasons. One, because I feel like I can use this and just have them flying over my army, giving people charge, speed, and leadership. But two, because they have really good missile damage, and since they are flying, they're not really going to be obstructed by anything like, you know, witch hunters, Dowie engineer units get obstructed a lot, which is kind of what makes them not that great. But these two can mount a flying beast for relatively cheap cost, and so they just kind of snipe from the air all day, and they have tons of ammunition. I love the Skink Chiefs on Pterodon. You can also take them, I believe, on an Ancient Stegodon and a normal Stegodon, I think. But I really like them on Pterodon. So we got two of them. Actually have them deployed in a locked formation to try and make sure that they're always spread out, because I'm going to most likely be giving them, at least when I enter the battle, I was thinking I'm going to have them target the same unit, most likely, to try and like focus down enemy leadership, basically. But I didn't want them to bunch up because I wanted to spread out their drum aura and their leadership aura. So at least this way in a locked formation, they're always going to be spread out, and hopefully they're hitting different parts of the army during the battle. Because in a chaotic battle, I'm not going to probably have them like perfectly positioned individually over as many skinks as they can to give them that leadership buff. So that's kind of my next option. Just lock them in a group and have them fly around at this set space away from each other. And then the rest of my Air Force is going to be the Skink Priest of the Heavens. I took the Harmonic Convergence, which is a good single target buff, and then the Wind Blast spell, which this is the one that if you overcast it for 11 mana, or is it 12? 11. You can see there it increases armor piercing damage. So this breath spell is good against every unit in the game. Well, every unit in the game that's not a single target, basically. So it's a very good spell. Good tool to have if you're going to take the Heavens lore, and I did. So there we go. So that is my army. Now for the unconventional Beastman army. There are two formations here that are identical. So each formation has two normal Centaurs. They are the base Centaur. They have a shield. They are good at harassing enemy like ranged foot units and other kind of squishy targets. They're not really meant to deal with any high armor units and any other real like cav, because they'll usually lose on the charge. But there are two of those in each of these formations, and then four of the Centaurs with throwing axes. These units never do anything well for me. I've tried them multiple times, and I can just never seem to get the throwing axes to work. They have really low range. They lose against any kind of foot archer group, because almost all skirmish cap does in the game lose to foot archers. They are okay on the charge, kind of like their basic Centaur brethren, but I don't know. For me, I can never really get much work done with them. I don't really like them. Although I think they did receive a buff. I think I remember seeing that in their patch notes, that they did receive a buff. I just don't remember what that buff was. But yeah, the thing is, I think they're also pretty inaccurate. I don't know. I don't like Centaurs throwing axes. But we have 8 of them here. 4 in this formation and 4 of them in this formation. And again, they're accompanied by 2 normal Centaurs each. Then over here we have 4 Chaos Warhounds of Poison, very fast movers that can give poison damage to wherever you need it on the battlefield. They are a great unit. I think Warhounds are awesome. They're very cheap, they're very fast, and they can effectively knock out an enemy's backline really, really quick. As long as it's not like dwarves, because dwarves have such high armor that the Chaos Puppies don't really chew through that armor pretty well, but you know, anybody else besides that, they can go through pretty quickly. So they have 4 of those units. Then their leadership is going to be a Brave Shaman of the Shadow lore, with I believe almost all the spells for the Shadow lore, including the Brave Shaman's unique item of the Jagged Dagger. So this is actually pretty cool, because most of the casters that I've seen in this game, they no longer really have Arcane Conduit. I think almost every caster in Total War Warhammer 1 had Arcane Conduit, which is a renewable or multi-use ability that can increase your reserves and power recharge rate. But now a lot of the mages seem to have only an item that can use once in a battle, like the, I should say the mages that are of the hero variety, not the lord variety. So this is a mage of the hero variety that has an item that does what Arcane Conduit does, but it's more than just once. Because I think like a lot of them have like Power Stone, and they come with different names, but essentially most of the hero casters that I've seen all have a one-time use item that does what this does. But the Jagged Dagger for the Brave Shaman of Shadows can be recharged if you have them engaged in melee, so that does kind of make you want to bring them on a chariot, because a chariot gives them a lot of mobility. They are not really strong in melee, so you don't want them to be caught by like an enemy melee lord. So this gives them the mobility. It makes them stay in melee. They do pretty well in melee now on a chariot because of their anti-armor and anti-infantry, because that's what chariots give you. So I like that. It makes the Brave Shamans a little different from other just hero casters because they can now have this ability that will recharge as long as you have them in melee. And so I don't know. I like it. It's a little unique. But anyway, then we also have Kazrak of the One Eye, also being brought on a chariot, so they are really good against the armor and anti-infantry. For the items that they brought, they have the Scourge, which is a 43-second buff, which grants him poison damage and increased melee attack and defense, which is a neat item. Now, I think normally Kazrak does not have armor piercing. Unless he's on a chariot, that's the only way that he gets that. So I think normally he's around, I want to say like 430 to 450 range. I may be wrong about that. But in any case, putting poison on your weapon is always a good thing. The natural abilities he comes with is Apocalyptic Vision, which increases leadership and melee attack if units surround him. Deadly Onslaught, which again has been buffed in this game, so I think you should almost always take it. It's a really good spell now. His unique special item here, the Dark Mail. I'm iffy about it, because the Dark Mail specifically targets casters, and you can see it lowers their defense, armor, and their vigor for 32 seconds each time they cast if they are in a 40-meter area around Kazrak. So, the thing is, against a lot of casters in this game, you don't really need the Dark Mail, because like the squishy hero casters are already super squishy. This makes them more squishy in theory, but they don't really need this debuff for Kazrak to be able to kill them. What this, I believe, is essentially meant to be used for is against enemy casters like Durthu, which we actually have a Durthu on this map over there. Maybe like the Vampire Lords of the Vampire Counts, because the Vampire Lords are caster lords. Durthu is a caster lord. And so like these caster lords that are also really good in melee that have like high armor, high melee defense, I'm pretty sure that is what the Dark Mail is actually made to combat, to give Kazrak an edge against caster lords. So really this is only useful against specific factions, like the Wood Elves, if they bring Durthu, like the Vampire. It's pretty reliable, I think, against the Vampire Counts, because against the Counts, almost everybody brings a Vampire Lord. It's either going to be Manfred, Vlad, or the Red Duke, I think, is what you mostly see. And all of them can cast. All of them are pretty decent in melee. And this is going to weaken their melee potential and let Kazrak maybe get the upper hand on them as they are, casting their invocations of Nehek as they're spamming undead around you. They are actually hurting themselves, because if they're around Kazrak, that is, because they're going to get hit by this debuff of the Dark Mail. So I believe that that's essentially what this item is geared for. So like I wouldn't really bring it against like the Empire. Definitely not the Dowie, because they don't cast at all. I don't think their runic magic is considered casting when they hit the spell. I don't think. But if it is, then this can actually cripple, well, maybe not cripple, but work against the runesmiths. I wonder if those are considered. I doubt it, though. They're not spells, they're just abilities. Anyway, so there's only a couple factions that I think that Dark Mail is worth being brought against, is what I'm getting at. Anyway, that's the Beastman army. I spent a lot of time talking about the Dark Mail. For the Wood Elves over here, we have 4 of the Glade Riders. This is their basic skirmishing cav. They have decent missile damage, and they can also double up as a light skirmish, or I'm sorry, a light cav unit to try and run down enemy crossbows, very weak, squishy units. They can do that as well. But do not keep them in a ranged fight against foot archers, because like I said earlier, skirmish cav, especially the Glade Riders with a very low armor, are going to lose in a skirmish battle against an enemy crossbow archer unit of any kind. That is a foot unit specifically. Their front line is going to be made up of Dryads, which have received a buff in Total War Warhammer 2, so they have more armor. I believe it was buffed from 30 to 60. So they are actually, I think, worth it now. They have a role in the army. Usually, you always saw people bring the Spearmen, because Spearmen were the tankiest, cheapest infantry that the Wood Elves have. But now they have these Dryads, which are still pretty tanky at 60 armor. They give and also have a natural 20% resistance because of their, what is it called? Forest Spirit, I think is what that is. Because they're magically infused tree spirits. I don't know. The point is they have very nice tanky stats here in the armor. Their melee defense is not great, but they are really good on melee attack. They have magical attacks, so they can overcome enemy physical resistance. They have an okay charge bonus, but they also have decent leadership, which means they'll stay in the fight for a little bit longer than some other units in the game, and their weapon strength is also pretty good. So I think Dryads received a nice buff for this game, and you're probably going to be seeing them a lot more. So we have a front line of those. Behind those, we have 6 Glade Guard, which are the basic foot archers of the Wood Elves. Not much to be said about these. They do have decent missile damage, and their most unique trait is that the Glade Guard can fire while moving. Now, they only have a forward-facing arc, not a 360-degree arc, so they can only really fire while moving towards their target, but still, that's better than you know, like Empire crossbows. Crossbows can't do that. Gunners can't do that. But the Glade Guard can. So if someone's trying to run away from you, they can just move forward and continually fire. So it's a neat feature that the Wood Elves have. I think all their foot archers have fire while moving. The thing is, there are other variants like the Deepwood Scouts and the Way Watchers or the Way Stalkers. I always get this one confused. Basically, they all have 360-degree arc of fire while moving. So those are a little bit better, but these are cheaper and still pretty cool. Oh, right, the leadership. I almost totally forgot leadership. So they, as I said, they have Durthu, which is one of the best melee lords, I would say, in the game, because he's also a caster lord. His stats are really good. He has decent hit points and really high armor. And again, like I said, he can cast a bunch of spells, some of which are buff spells if you want them. He has, in this case, I think all of the spells available to his lore. He can also come with the Lamentation of Despair, which is a magic missile, kind of like the Hand of the Gods from Krokgar, but I think this is a little bit more widespread, and I think is really good against, it says right there, it's good against strong single units. So it's a pretty nice spell to have. Did they take the other unique item for you? No, I guess they didn't. Okay. But yeah, Durthu I think is a very solid legendary lord of the Wood Elves, one of the best, and you'll probably see him a lot. To accompany Durthu, we do have a Branch Wraith, which comes with a mix of the Shadow lore and the Life lore. So in this case, they did not bring... Oh, no, they did bring the heal spell. So I think they took everything, actually. Huh, just like Durthu brought everything. So this player didn't really want to take off any spells from these two lords. So that's kind of a lot of money wasted in my experience, because you're not going to have enough Winds of Magic to use all of these spells. So that's why you see most people take like one or two of the key spells that they think they'll need for the battle, because you're not going to have enough to use up, you know, on all of these different spells. So it's kind of a waste of money a little bit, but anyway, that's going to be the leadership, Durthu, and a Branch Wraith, which the Branch Wraith can also double up as a melee hero, kinda. You got to be careful though, because they only have 60 armor. 35 melee defense is not insanely high for a melee hero, but they're still a pretty cool unit. All right. Then for the Greenskins, their army is exactly the same as in my last battle, because this is the same player, and I don't think they changed up at all. So we got 4 Night Gobbos of the Fanatic version, backed up by 3 Night Goblin Archers. We have the Death Creepers, those regenerating 4 Spider Rider Archers, and more Grubs Mage Marauders, the Anti-Armor, Goblin Wolf Archers is what they're called. Then over here, we still have Skarsnik and an Orc Shaman brought on board. We have the Ragnarok Spider, 4 Orc Boys, 2 Black Orcs, one of which is the Crimson Killers, and then 2 Boar Boy Biggins, one of which is the renowned Broken Tusk Mob. Again, I believe this is the exact same army as they brought in the last battle. So, let's get to the fight. I was a little surprised, to say the least, about this Vanguard deployed army of the Beastmen, so immediately I'm trying to get my Chameleon Skinks out of this, because I do not want them to get rushed down by the Centaurs, and I'm pushing up my Skink army to try and make sure that the Centaurs can't really afford to engage my Chameleon Skinks in melee, and while the Teardown Riders doing what they can against this formation. The thing is, though, Teardown Riders only do really well against a dense formation, like assaulting a unit like a Skink cohort, because they're very densely packed. They don't do as well against a unit that is undisciplined, meaning they're kind of more spread out in their formation. But yeah, you can see we are now chasing off the Centaurs, again trying to get the Chameleon Skinks away from danger. But you can see the Centaurs are still chasing them, so we're going to be chasing the Centaurs with our Skink cohorts, with our Skink Priests, and I believe our Skink Heroes of the Teardown Riders up here. Kind of a hectic start to the battle. So the Wood Elves are going to be charging the Beastmen from this side, and then the Greenskins are going to be chasing the Wood Elves. And of course, I'm coming into the Beastmen from this side as well. We do manage to catch this formation of Centaurs throwing axes with Krokgar and some of the Skink cohorts. We do have some Skink cohorts with Javelins back here also supporting with their poisonous rounds, or poisonous Javelins. So we do a lot of good damage to some of these Centaurs here, but they are going to be able to get out of the combat. And I don't really have any units that can actually chase them, because they are super fast. In fact, I don't think any of my units can really catch them besides my flyers, that is. They're going to run interference here with some normal Centaurs trying to stop my Skink cohorts from catching the Axe Throwers, so I'm going to be like, that's fine. We're just going to throw a Krokgar in there, and he's going to have a great time killing some basic Centaurs over there. My Chameleon Skinks have really not taken that much damage. Only one of them, I believe, did. This one right there. And now I have opened up basically a clear path with my Skink Horde, my Pterodon Riders, and my Skink Chiefs. So now I'm going to get my Chameleon Skinks over here to rejoin the rest of my army. So we have opened up a path for them there. Now here come the 4 Chaos Warhounds. They're going to be charging my Skink cohorts. But the Skink cohorts have a decent melee defense. So the Chaos Warhound's not going to do amazingly well against them. And also I'm going to sandwich them in with the Skink cohort here. So we're going to do a lot of good damage against them. We're going to throw this Ancient Stegodon in here to try and shut down these Chaos Warhounds over there. You can see one of my Skink cohorts did take a lot of damage from the Centaur, but we are going to back them up with Krokar, and we are going to be able to route that Centaur off as well. All of these Dryads here are actually going to be chasing these Centaurs all the way over here for the next minute and a half or so. I am more concerned with what still lies before me, and we have more Centaurs. We have, you know, the Wood Elves coming in. My Pterodon Riders I did use as interference to try and save my chameleon Skinks, because I wanted the Skinks more than the Pterodon Riders. So that's why they have taken damage here, because I charged them into melee to prevent the Centaurs from getting to my chameleon Skinks. But they are, you know, they're still alive, but they're heavily damaged, and their morale is kind of shaky. Meanwhile, back over here at the main part of the army, we're still routing off the Chaos Warhounds of Poison. We did a lot of good damage to them, and I believe a lot of them routed off the field right here. I don't think they really have many left. I think that's the last one at this point. I guess the enemy player thought that my Skinks with Javelins were going to be easy targets, but those are not the easiest targets for Chaos Warhounds to take out. The Skink cohort still have a decent melee defense, and they can pack a punch in melee too, especially against a non-defense-oriented Chaos Puppy. There go my Ancient Stegodons chasing out the Centaurs. So my Ancient Stegodons are kind of being used to ward off the Centaurs, because the Centaurs have a lower range. You see those little machine gun rounds than the Ancient Stegodons, and the Ancient Stegodons do massive amounts of base weapon damage, so that does really well against the Centaurs, because Centaurs don't have high armor to really block that. So we could do a lot of good damage with those two Ancient Stegodons with their range. Look at that, that's so cool. I love their rounds. So yeah, we've been using the Stegodons basically at the top of the hill to ward off the Centaurs. Here comes the rest of my Skink army. We are now going to be making a push for the Wood Elves, who are having to engage against the Greenskins again, coming behind them, trying to get into their Glade Guard with the Ragnarok Queen. Their Night Goblins and Orc Boys, actually, I'm sorry, the Night Goblins are coming in from over there, Orc Boys are coming in from over there. Meanwhile, down here, I'm not entirely sure what happened to Kazarek. He may have just got focused down by a bunch of the skirmish cav here, but he is almost dead, trying to do what he can against the Glade Riders, but not doing that well. And Jorthu's coming over here to try and chase him off as well. And right now, I'm basically just getting into a position to attack the Wood Elves. My first target is going to be this, because all of their Glade Guard and skirmish cav is at the edge of the map, and so if we can come in like this, knock out their morale, they will all route off the field. So that is what I'm gearing up to do right here. So we're getting everybody moved down here, and then we'll make a push over there. As their Dryads, at least what remains of them, is engaged against the Night Gobos, Orcs, and a Ragnarok Queen, and all the nastiness of the Greenskin army over here. They're not going to be able to last too long against this many units from the Greenskins. I'm going to do what damage I can with my Pterodon Riders, because this is such a nice clump of infantry to hit with the Fire Bolas. I'm bringing my Skink Chief over here to try and do just like that. Doing really good damage to this giant blob of units so I can get some more points. Meanwhile, Skarsnik and the Orc Shaman are going to start chasing off my Ancient Stegodon. I do not want the Stegodon engaged against these two because they have armor piercing damage, and Skarsnik comes with a bonus versus large. So I'm actually going to try and get the Ancient Stegodon to rejoin the rest of my army. So we're going to withdraw away from the Greenskin leadership. But we did do a lot of good damage with the Skink Priest and the Pterodon Riders, just doing so much good damage against the Orc Boys and Night Gobos, giving me a lot of points. You can see I'm currently in first place. And now my army is in position. We are about to assault down into the Wood Elves. I think I did have to ward off. Yeah, so the Centaurs did come back and try and do some more damage to me, so we're kind of pushing them off here. The Dryads that chased them did double back, and now they're engaged against the Boar Boys right here. This one you can see is, I think, out of the battle for the rest of it. I think that sound was another Wind Blast? Oh no, that sound was from Jorthu. He did his little Shotgun Blast magic missile spell, I think towards the Ragnarok Queen. So the leadership of the Greenskins, not able to chase my Ancient Stegodon, are now going to peel off and go into the skirmishers, and I should be moving up here pretty soon, now that we have pushed off the Centaurs once again. You can see that all the Glade Guard are now focusing on the Ragnarok Queen. This Glade Guard is not armor piercing focused. There is a Glade Guard unit that is, but even so, there are so many arrows in this Ragnarok. It is going to be taking a lot of damage from just this huge amount of arrow fire, which is good for me because I don't want to fight the Ragnarok Queen. I don't have many units that can really do well against it besides Krokar. So I'm totally cool with the Wood Elves focusing down that Ragnarok Queen. Good damage from the Footagork here on the Skirmisher Cav, but kind of maybe a waste. I don't know. I don't think I would use it against the Skirmish Cav. I'll probably use it against the Master Skink Horde, maybe coming your way. Ideally, you use it against like an armored Cav, but there isn't really any of that in this game that the Greenskins have to worry about. But yeah, look at that Ragnarok Queen. Again, this wasn't armor-piercing focus damage, but there's so many arrows that the Ragnarok Queen could not take it all, and so she is currently routing out the field. Just in time for my Pterodon Riders to come down to try and run interference. We're going to be dropping our rocks here soon, I think. We're catching their skirmisher cav with Krokar and some skinks. There go the rocks, and now we're going to land and try and make sure that they can't run away. Buy time for our ground skink forces to get there and rout them off the field. Just doing so much damage to this Glade Guard. Meanwhile, I'm having to deal with the Night Goblin archers up here. We're going to keep a skink cohort with Javelin, which still also has a shield, and we're going to keep them in between these archers and the rest of my army so we can just absorb the fire of the archers. And you can see I'm also chasing them off with the Ancient Stegodons. But I'm not super concerned with the Night Goblin archers, because my main focus right now, again, is to rout off the skirmishing cav and the Glade Guard of the Wood Elves, and we are doing a pretty good job at that. We have caught them with our skink cohorts with Krokar. Over here, Durthu is tanking against the Black Orcs and the leadership of the Greenskins, so I'm just going to leave that alone for right now. Well, except I'm going to also cast a Wind Blast spell, because of course I will. There's a clump of orcs that need to get killed. Another shotgun blast from Durthu there. And there we go. The Wood Elf skirmishing part of their army is now routed off the field. Exactly what I wanted to do. Now I don't have to worry about the archers coming my way. That was actually pretty good damage right there. I believe that was from the Branch Wraith. Maybe not. The Branch Wraith is routing? I think that was Awakening of the... Oh, wait, no. Actually, maybe that was from the Orc Shaman. I think that was from the Orc Shaman. I don't know what that spell was. Was that the breath weapon of the Orc magic? I don't remember it looking like that. Anyway, Durthu is now being chased off by the Orc Shaman, so I'm going to jump into this party and chase off the Orc Shaman as well as Durthu with Krokar. Branch Wraith is going to come back, I believe around there somewhere. Over here, unfortunately, I forget my Chameleon Skinks. Common thing that happens with me is I forget a unit or two. In this case, I forgot 3. And they're going to sit back there and eventually engage against these Centaurs. We're now throwing into my skink cohorts. So right now, I'm leaving this unit here to absorb the axe damage. And I have these 2 skink cohorts over there using the rest of those javelins to just try and return fire. So that's what's going on over there as we're now dealing with what is left of the Greenskins. We're going to be jumping on Skarsnik here with the Ancient Stegodons and the Bastiladon with Revivification Crystal, because they do have a bonus versus small creatures. So I believe we should be seeing that here soon. Meanwhile, Krokar is over here doing the Hand of the God spell against Durthu and actually managed to kill him. So we're going to be pulling Krokar back in here, I believe. One of my skink chiefs are going to be chasing the Orc Shaman out of the battle. The other skink chief is going to maintain their position over here above my army. And there you go. You can see that we are routing off Skarsnik with the Bastiladon with the Revivification Crystal. Ragnarok Queen coming back, but I think we take it out with the skink chief. Oh no, I take it out with the Ancient Stegodons. I'm starting to focus fire with those 2. My Bastiladon has been also using the healing spell as it has been coming off cooldown. I think I've killed a skink cohort, but for the most part I've been healing our Ancient Stegodons and Krokar with the Revivification Crystal. Speaking of Krokar, here he comes. I think he was going to... Yeah, there we go. I had him attack the Ragnarok Queen, but then she is going to be routing off, so then we're going to peel him off to attack a different target. Meanwhile, back here, the Night Goblins, which we did catch briefly with the Skink, is going to be coming back to try and cause us some more problems. So I'm going to run my Skink Priest up there and do another Wind Blast down the line. Centaurs down here did run into my Chameleon Skinks, and again, I didn't even know this was happening because at my view, it was like this. And so the Chameleon Skinks were just out of my mind. And so they were out here dueling it with the what remains of the Centaurs. There goes that Wind Blast spell. And I believe they eventually lose this combat. But they still do a decent amount of damage to the Centaurs, so it's not a total loss. They at least do something instead of just sitting there doing nothing. So it's actually kind of a good thing that the Centaurs engaged against them, because else they weren't going to earn me any kind of points whatsoever, because I forgot about it. Out of sight, out of mind, friends. That's usually how I play this game, unfortunately. Not the good way to play it, but that's how I play it. So right now we are just mopping up what remains of the Greenskins. We still have a ton of Skink infantry left. Our Ancient Stegodons are pretty healthy. Our Revivification Crystal is pretty healthy and also still has many charges left. Krokar is still really healthy because I've been topping him off with the Bastiladon's healing. Also using Cold Blood from our multiple heroes, because remember, each hero comes with 1 charge of Cold Blood. So that is a heal spell, basically. And so we had access to 4 of those in this battle with the 2 Skink Chiefs, the Priest, and Krokar. So we have a lot of healing to keep our big units topped off with health. Over here, we're going to turn on what remains of the skirmishing units of the Greenskins. We ran into there with the Skink cohort. I'm going to keep them pinned in place with the Pterodon Riders so they can't run away. And they are not really going to be able to stand up to our little Skink army here. Although here come the Centaurs trying to get in on this little party that's happening. There goes Krokgar off to try and finish off the Ragnarok Queen. Considering his health points in the Ragnarok Queen, I feel pretty confident that he can do this. Although he's not really getting many hits in. Which is unfortunate. Oh, then I guess I charge Skarsnik instead. Up here, what remains of the Greenskin Calf finally gets back into the battle. They were hanging around down here for a very long time. But their charge is going to do a massive amount of damage to my Skinks that were up here fighting against their Night Goblin Archers. And then they're going to, I think, escort the Night Goblin Archers out, trying to get them back from routing. And there we go. The Ragnarok Queen is now shattered. We have shattered off Skarsnik. And so the Greenskin leadership is gone. And without the leadership, their Night Goblin Archers, who did come back from routing, are not going to be able to last too long under any kind of fire. There come my Commune Skinks. Okay, so at some point, I guess I did remember my Commune Skinks, because I'm now pulling them back closer to my army. I kind of forgot that I did that. And at this point, I'm not really super concerned about losing the game, because I'm sitting at 21,000 points, and the Greenskins only have a couple of Orc Boy Biggins left, and their Night Goblins have now shattered, so we're going to run our Ancient Stegodon into this. Back them up with whatever is close. I'm not entirely sure why we have a minute left, because everything is routing. Oh, and maybe these Tentacores. But that is basically going to be a GG for the Skink army. Again, if a Skink is running a Dino, I consider it a Skink unit. So I guess in theory, actually, Mazdamundi would be what you want to bring in a Skink army, because Mazdamundi's Stegodon mount has Skinks on it. But Mazdamundi doesn't have a bonus versus large, and the Skink army really needs that, so I would probably still bring Krokgar anyway. Anyway, good game. To Bwop, Bweep, Rablock, and Perrin Wolfbeam. For my army, you can see the Skink Chiefs did a lot of good damage. The leadership really did really well. The Skink cohorts did pretty well. Chameleon Skinks did okay for the position they were in at the beginning of the battle, and also considering I let them get charged by Centaurs at the end. Ancient Stegodons did really well. One of my Teardown Riders did really well, and then the Revivification Crystal also got some decent amount of kills, as well as healing my army up. Let's see, for the Greenskins, Orc Shaman got a lot of damage on the Wood Elves, probably in melee and with spells. The Crimson Killers seem to do pretty well. The Broken-Tusk Mob actually killed a ton of Dryads. I think most of these kills are from Dryads that they were engaging with earlier on in the match. And for the most part, yeah, they got a decent amount of kills across the board. Wood Elves, Durthu got a decent amount of kills. The Glade Guard did a lot of nice damage to the Ragnarok Queen. So thank you for that, because I didn't have to deal with it. And then for the unconventional army, the Centaurs, some of them actually did really well. 123 kills on an Axe Thrower unit is insane. But a lot of them also didn't do super good. Their leadership, I think, got sniped really quickly, so that was unfortunate for them. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the battle, everybody. Let's go watch a cinematic view. March of the Skinks. Oh! Poor little Command Skink. And that's when I ran interference so that my Command Skinks could live. But this Pterodon Rider took a lot of damage from this. Yeah. Oh my god, look at all that fire going down the Kazarak. Jeez. Dorothy just saying, like, get the hell out of here. Run, Brave Shaman. Dorothy's coming for you. Titans. Oh, and a Manticore summon. Skink's so fast. Not much left of those greenskins anymore. Bring him down! Overwhelm them with numbers! Beautiful skinks! Then the Civigors. Oh, okay. And we had just routed off Scars thinking that queen over there. I was wondering what Krokar was doing at this point. And here comes the last charge of the greenskins. Getting hit by my chameleon skinks, I believe? Yeah. And probably my skink chiefs that are up there still. don't think there's much else. Yeah, I think at this point we're just waiting for everything to shatter. There we go. So hope you enjoyed some of the skink love there, and I will see you all in the next battle. Take care.